On Monday, January 13, 2020, Keane Mulready-Woods' sister took to social media, desperately seeking answers about her missing 17-year-old brother.
Has anyone seen my brother? He's only 17 and has been missing since last evening.
She posted, unaware of the horrific fate that had already befallen him. Just a few hours earlier, Keane had been brutally murdered, his body dismembered in an attack so chilling that it left Ireland in shock, even in the midst of its escalating gang wars. This tragedy was not just another statistic in Ireland's rising crime rate, it was a message. Days later, Keane's remains were found in a sports bag in a Dublin suburb, and his head and hands were later discovered in a burning car. The killing was a calculated act of revenge by Robbie Lawler, one of Ireland's most feared hitmen, aimed not just at taking Keane's life, but at making a chilling statement to rivals. A teen pulled into the criminal underworld. Keane's story, tragically common in communities affected by gang violence, reflects how young lives are drawn into a world of crime. Born in Drogheda, Keane was a typical teenager, a motocross enthusiast who owned a scrambler bike and attended St. Oliver's Community College. He came from a working-class family well regarded in his local community, but his life began taking a darker turn in his mid-teens. Tempted by promises of money, designer clothes, and respect, Keane began working for local criminals. His descent into Drogheda's criminal underworld was rapid, influenced by his connection to his godfather, Owen Maguire, a notorious gang leader who pulled him into the dangerous world of organized crime. This connection placed Keane on a collision course with rivals, marking him as an emerging player in a deadly feud between Maguire's gang and a rival faction led by Robbie Lawler. The Drogheda Feud, an escalating gang war. The feud between Maguire's gang and Lawler's associates had been intensifying for years, with violence breaking out on both sides. In July 2018, Maguire himself was ambushed and shot multiple times, one bullet piercing his spine and leaving him permanently paralyzed. The attacker was a mystery for years, but later court records identified none other than Robbie Lawler as the gunman responsible for the attempt on Maguire's life. For the Mulready-Woods family, the warning signs were evident, but the pull of gang loyalty was strong, and Keane continued working within his godfather's circle. Keane's involvement escalated beyond petty offenses, making him a visible figure in the gang feud. One incident saw Keane smashing windows and throwing a petrol bomb into a rival's home, a stark indication that he was fully embedded in the gang conflict and all its dangers.
January 12th, 2020. Keane's last night.
On the evening of January 12, 2020, Keane made a phone call to his mother, asking her to leave money for a taxi so he could return home. What he didn't know was that he was stepping into a deadly trap set by his rivals. That night he met with Paul Crosby and Gerard Cruz, both known criminals with deep ties to Robbie Lawler. Gerard Cruz drove them to a property at 31 Rathmullen Park, a house associated with Crosby and the site of Keane's brutal end. While it's believed that the initial plan was to intimidate or rough up Keane, the night took a darker, more violent turn. Once inside, Keane was overpowered, beaten, and tortured. Robbie Lawler then took it upon himself to deliver the fatal blow, stabbing Keane in the neck and leaving him bleeding on the floor. But the horror didn't end there. In a display of calculated cruelty, Lawler proceeded to dismember Keane's body, cutting him into pieces, a message of warning that would resonate across Ireland. A message of fear, the dismemberment and disposal. Robbie Lawler's actions weren't simply about killing Keane. They were meant to send a message. The dismemberment of Keane's body was a terrifying signal to his enemies, one meant to strike fear and serve as a brutal form of revenge. Lawler carefully packed Keane's limbs into a black Puma sports bag and chillingly included a pair of flip-flops. This addition wasn't random. It was a deliberate reference to an incident just weeks earlier when a group of young men attacked Lawler outside a gym, taking his gym bag and flip-flops. The attack was posted on social media, humiliating Lawler, who was furious over the disrespect. The flip-flops symbolized Lawler's revenge. After dismembering Keane's body, Lawler and his accomplices took steps to ensure the remains would be found in a way that maximized the horror. The sports bag with Keane's limbs was dumped in Kulak, while his head and hands were set on fire in a car in Drumcondra, a residential area, leaving a grim spectacle for anyone who stumbled upon it. Why Keane? Motives behind the brutal killing. Though no single motive has been confirmed, the killing of Keane Mulready-Woods appears to stem from several possible reasons. First, his close association with Owen Maguire made him a target in the ongoing feud. As Maguire's godson, Keane was part of his inner circle, and that alone was enough to put him in harm's way. Additionally, Robbie Lawler harbored deep resentment toward Maguire following the failed assassination attempt that left him paralyzed. Another possible motive lay in the humiliation Lawler suffered from the ambush in December 2019. Although there is no direct evidence linking Keane to this assault, Lawler may have believed he was involved. The inclusion of flip-flops with Keane's remains strongly suggests that the murder was in part motivated by Lawler's desire to exact revenge for his own public humiliation. The end of Lawler. Retribution comes for a killer. In a swift turn of events, Robbie Lawler himself met a violent end not long after Keane's murder. On April 4, 2020, Lawler was gunned down in broad daylight in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The hit was reportedly orchestrated by Cornelius Price, a powerful gang leader who was outraged by the brutal killing of Keane. It's alleged that Price paid over $100,000 to have Lawler killed, setting up a fake job in Belfast to lure him out. The hit itself was meticulously planned, involving contacts from Mountjoy Prison and collaboration with a rival crime group. Just like Keane's killing, Lawler's murder was a public and brutal spectacle. Price himself reportedly took to social media after Lawler's death, toasting his demise with a bottle of Captain Morgan, a clear and bold statement that Lawler's actions had gone too far, even for the gangland community. Justice and court proceedings, trials for those involved. As Keane's murder rocked Ireland, law enforcement scrambled to piece together the events leading up to his death. The Irish police, known as the Gardaí, arrested several key figures associated with the murder. Among them were Paul Crosby and Gerard Cruz, both charged with luring Keane to the house where he met his end. Despite not directly participating in the killing, their roles were instrumental, and their actions made them crucial facilitators in Lawler's scheme. Crosby and Cruz's court appearances shocked the public. In a display of apparent indifference, they were seen laughing as they were led away after sentencing, with one overheard boasting about the short length of their punishment. Paul Crosby received a 10-year sentence, and Gerard Cruz was given 7 years, with both men expected to serve reduced sentences due to remission. Their cavalier attitude only underscored the challenges faced by Irish law enforcement in dealing with hardened criminals unfazed by justice. Stephen Carberry, the final piece of a grim puzzle. Another key figure, Stephen Carberry, played a crucial role in the aftermath of Keane's murder. Carberry was charged with disposing of Keane's body parts and setting fire to the Volvo in which his head and hands were later discovered. Between January 13th and 15th, Carberry transported and disposed of the remains, working to eliminate any evidence that could link back to Lawler and his associates. His involvement in this gruesome crime highlighted the lengths to which gang members will go to cover their tracks. The Gardaí, while making progress in arrests and charges, continue to seek additional arrests in connection to Keane's murder, hoping to bring all those responsible to justice. Legacy of violence: how Keane's murder shook Ireland. The murder of Keane Mulready-Woods has left a lasting impact on Ireland. It was a shocking reminder of the extreme brutality that gang violence can bring into everyday communities, leaving a sense of unease that persists long after the crime scene has cleared. For his family, the loss of a young life violently taken in such a public and horrific manner is a wound that will never fully heal. Keane's death symbolizes the grim reality faced by many communities caught in the crossfire of gang conflicts. where young lives are tragically lost and violence becomes the currency of power. Keane's murder sparked outrage, calls for stronger action against gang violence, and an intensified Garda effort to curb gang activity. Yet his story serves as a somber caution for Ireland's youth, a reminder of the dark path that awaits those who are lured into the world of organized crime. Keane's life, once filled with typical teenage hopes and dreams, became entangled in a deadly feud that ultimately cost him everything. His murder stands as a tragic example of how gangs exploit young people, pulling them into violent cycles with promises of quick money, false respect, and dangerous alliances. Through this story, we're reminded of the pressing need to address the factors that pull young people into crime. For more true crime stories that aim to shed light on the realities of gang life and its devastating impact, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, stay safe and aware of the world around you.